All right, so finally we're on the last lesson, and this is more of like, I don't know the word, like an appendix lesson, because we already covered all the letters. This is just some extra clarification on specific words and numbers. We're gonna learn how numbers work in Coptic. It does not work like how we have it in English. It doesn't work how we have 1 to 9, and then we just reuse them. Like this way we write 19 would not be the same way as, like, you wouldn't use a 1 in Coptic and then a 9 in Coptic to be 19. It wouldn't work like that. It's somewhat closer to Roman numerals, but not really. Most languages at the time had a specific way, but let's first focus on the Greek pronunciation rules that set it apart from Coptic rules. And be sure, if any of this doesn't make sense, let me know. It's going to be tricky for me to explain things, especially like in a recording, so I'm not sure if my point gets across. First, we'll cover consonants before we cover vowels, because the consonants are a bit easier to explain. Greek has many consonant changes based on the combination of letters, but it seems only 2 are observed in the Copts pronunciation of Greek words, and these 2 are these. When dao, or tav, is immediately before a ni in Greek, the tav becomes pronounced like a D. So I'll give you 30 seconds to pronounce each word, and then I will reveal what the pronunciation is. Hopefully you're able to get the first word is pronounced ⲛⲙⲙ. So realize, since I'm talking about Greek rules, all of these words are Greek and they'll maintain the Greek pronunciation. So remember this letter, chi, the one that looks like an X, it makes a ch sound if it's a Greek word. So ⲛⲙ, ⲛⲙ, ⲛⲙ. I'll give you 30 seconds for the next word. All right, hopefully you're able to get the word is achrandon. 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 30 seconds for the last one. This one's a little harder. All right, so this word is sphragisthenos. 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 These 3 words I have taken from hymns that we use. These are not random Greek words I threw in to trick you. So we have ⲛⲙ, achrandon, and sphragisthenos. Sphragisthenos. Try not to pronounce it the actual Greek way because it's a little different. Sphragisthenos. So that was a tav being after a ni. Now we have a similar rule, but it's the opposite. So when we have a sima immediately before a mi, then the sema becomes a Z. Again, this is only for Greek words. So a Coptic word, like the word for blessed, smaroot, it's still an S sound. Smaroot or smu, it's still an S sound. But if it's in a Greek word, like the three I have on the left, the S becomes a Z. So these words, I'll still give you 30 seconds. I was going to say these words are a little shorter, but here's 30 seconds for the first word. Hopefully the first word you're able to get was cosmo. Cosmo. That's the origin for the word cosmos, the cosmos. It means world, just like the cosmos, we use it to mean the universe. So it comes from that word. Or cosmic comes from this word, cosmo. 30 seconds for this next word. All right, the second word is aspasmos. 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 And aspasmos means greeting or kissing. So when we say greet one another with a holy kiss, there's usually a hymn that can be said before it, and we call this hymn the aspasmos. I'll give you 30 seconds for this next one. So this one is plasma. Plasma. We usually use it to mean creation. I think it could also technically mean growth, but I'm not sure. So plasma, we use to mean creation. So now we'll do vowel rules. So the consonants is just these two. The consonants is just this becomes that, and this becomes that. But the vowels are much more different than Coptic. So the Greek has different diphthongs than Coptic. So remember, diphthongs is two letters next to each other, makes one sound. So an example of a Coptic diphthong would be this being A. A. You're going from the S sound to the E sound, so you have A. It's not like that in Greek, and you'll see it on the next page, I think. The iota does not combine with other vowels in the same way as Coptic. So the example on the bottom, I'll use example. I'll read the rest of the bullet points and I'll go to example. So the iota does not combine like the rest. So for example, I said this would be A in Coptic. It's not A in Greek. It has a unique set of diphthongs, which is what I said before. And you pronounce each vowel alone as one, well, each vowel or diphthong alone. You pronounce it alone. This is why most Greek words are strewn with jinkins on the vowels to indicate how it should be read. For example, agios, 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 agios. It's not It's not agios. It's not agios. It's not agios. Each vowel is pronounced by itself, if possible. So here well, let me go to the Coptic. The alpha is pronounced by itself, and then these two do not combine. So it's agios, agios. But a Coptic word like here, thamyo, the iota combines, or the iota, because if it's a Greek word, Greek, whatever. So the iota here combines with the o, and it becomes io. Thamyo. Agios, thamyo. Now, this will be in the next page. Next page, I'll have a list of all of the diphthongs. But this page, let's go over something about diphthongs. Like I said, 2 letters make 1 sound. Now, luckily, 90% you won't need to know these diphthongs to read Greek words in Coptic, because most of them, they actually rewrite the words in Coptic based on the sound, not the spelling. I'll clarify what I mean by the next page, because you need to see the diphthong so you understand what I mean. Only one diphthong is shared between the 2 languages, but I still mentioned it just for completeness. So these are the diphthongs. So what do I mean by often rewritten as? I mean 2 things. It's rewritten like that when it's spelled in Coptic, but also that's the sound it makes. So this combination, those 2 letters next to each other, if it's in a Greek word, they'll make an eh. It'll be eh. These 3, if you have this letter, or this letter before iota, all 3, they all become an E sound. E, E. They all become E. And they're usually rewritten to be E, but not always. I think most common, this one, well, sometimes it is. This one is the one I see most often, not rewritten. And this one, because I only see one word that has this and it's common. So those become E. It's the same thing. It's the same reason that this became an E and this became an E. It's a phenomenon. They call it ioticism, where a bunch of letters became like iota, which in English we call iota. So ioticisms are letters that become like iota or iota. So, and the last one is this combination. U is the same, so it'll still be written as U. So, again, if it's alpha and iota, it's pronounced like eh. More likely than not, if it's another vowel with the iota, it'll be pronounced E. And then the U is still U. So here are some examples. I put 4 common words, their original Greek spelling, then how they're spelled in Coptic. And then I put 4 common words that are not respelled. And I colored all the diphthongs, whether they're respelled or not, I color the diphthongs. So the first word, it's pronounced ke. It's pronounced ke. So since it's pronounced ke, we change the alpha and iota to just be an eh here. So more likely than not, you'll see this way it's spelled, ke, and you won't have an issue, ke. This word is ai. Remember 2 things here. I said you pronounce each vowel by itself or each diphthong by itself in Greek. So we have a and then we have e. But in Coptic, you can't put an a and an e next to each other without a diphthong. So they put a jinkim on it. This is one example where you need a jinkim on a Greek word unless you spell it the original way, which 9 times out of 10, it won't be spelled the original way. So this is a-e, a-e. So if you ever see this, it's you don't need to know that, but it's really spelled like that, and you'll see it in Greek text. Coptic text 9 times out of 10, you'll see it spelled that way, which is fine. Again, same diphthong, so it becomes an e. It becomes yod, e. This is still us. So istus, istus. And last example, before we go into ones that are not rewritten, remember this combination becomes an e, so it's c, c. C, and it's usually spelled like that. That means to you. Like we say, doxa si kyrie, glory to you, O Lord. Istus means, I want to say ages, but I don't think that's right. Oh, it's 2 words in Greek, I remember. Istus. That pretty much means to the. Something along those lines. It can mean something a little different, but it's along those lines. E means forever. And ke means and, or both. So kenin, ke, ke istus, onos, non, onon, amin. Both now and forever, unto the age of all ages, amen. While I'm at it, this is how it's spelled in Greek, but it's normally spelled like this in Coptic. Onon. And I think they put jinkims on both, just so you pronounce each by itself, although it's not needed. And now, specific words, I'll pronounce it for you so you can understand how the pronunciation should be. This first one here, this one, ikumeni. It's the basis, kind of the basis of the word economy, but it has a different meaning. Ikumeni is the word we use for the theological term for economy, which is kind of like God's salvific plan. Like God's plan for salvation, we call it the economy of salvation. So ikumeni, lipon, Greek word, normally means also metania. This word, a lot of us know, metania. We normally pronounce it the Egyptian way, which is metania. We diphthong this, even though it shouldn't be. It's metania, and metania means repentance, but what it literally means is change mind. You change your mind, metania. And then the last one, this is a very common word. This together, remember, makes an E sound, so it's just eos, and that means son, eos. Feel free to pause or do something else now because we're going to switch gears to numbers, completely different topic. So Coptic, like many languages of the time, as in ancient languages, Greek did the same. They use their letters as the numerals. But what Coptic did is they put a bar on top. What do I mean? The first letter in the Coptic alphabet is alpha. So they're going to reuse the first letter as the number 1. Well, how are they going to differentiate whether it's a number or not? They're going to put a line on top. So now that right there is the Coptic symbol for 1. Greek did something similar. You don't have to know this because this isn't a Greek class, but Greek did that. So Greek put alpha, they put a little tonos on it, and then it became 1. If it's set apart like that, it becomes 1. So based on the next bullet point, for thousands, it's 2 bars. So by using the alphabet, we're able to get between 1 and 900. Just using, not even the whole alphabet, but using parts of the alphabet. We'll go into that in a second. For the most part, you take the alphabet in order until you go to 10. So what I mean, you go from the first letter to the 10th letter, and then you're not going to waste letters by going to 11, then 12, then 13, and 14. what you're going to do is you're going to jump from 10 to 20 because you could reuse. So the good thing about Coptic, it's similar to how we do numbers in English in that it's base 10, and the way that we would write 11 the way you would read this mathematically is you have 110 and you have 1 so it's like saying 10 plus 1. So the way it works in Coptic is you use the number for 10 and a number for 1 next to each other, so it's like base 10 in that way. And then if you have 100, you would use the letter for 100 and then 10 and then 1 to be 111. There are two numbers. I know it says 1. I'm going to explain. It explains itself by the second bullet point. There are two numbers that are not a letter. So the first one is the number 6, and the second one is the number for, I think, 90. Either 90 or 900. We'll see later. It looks just like another letter with a line through it. So we'll cover that soon. So here's the letters in alphabetical order. I didn't give this to you guys before because I just wanted you guys to be able to read it. And you guys wanted the letters names, so I did at the same time. But here are the letters in order. So we have alpha, beta, gamma, theta, A, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, laula, mi, ni, xi, o, pi, ro, sima, tav, ha, fi, chi, psi, o, shai, phi, chai, hori, janja, or ganja, chima, ti. Now I have a note here. The last 7 letters are Coptic only, and they're from Demotic, which you'll see in the all-in-one sheet. I have a section for that. So these 24 letters up here, these are all Greek letters. Now let me see if I wrote something. Okay. For the most part, I want to bring this up. For the most part, you take the alphabet in order. This letter jumps ahead of itself. So for example, what do I mean? If you were to follow what I said, this would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 3, this would be 4, this would be 5. And I said number 6 is different. I'm going to cover that in the next slide, so we'll skip that for now. This would be 7, this would be 8, this would be 9, this would be 10. And then again, like I said before, Kappa is not going to be 11, it's going to be 20, and 30, and 40, and 50, and 60, and 70, and then 80. Did I skip something? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Right. This one jumps here. So this letter is 90. You would think rho would be 90. It's not. Rho is 100. So it's 90, then 100. Then are you going to do 110? No, because you could use rho and iota. So this is 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. And you look, you see we run out of Greek letters. So the numbering system we use is adopted from Greek. So Greek had their own symbol for 6, they had their own symbol for 90, and they had their own symbol for 900. So the symbol for 900 looks just like a rho, except there's a line through it. Now I'm going to have a chart at the end of this, putting it nice and neat, so you can see everything clearly, but I wanted you to see how in alphabetical order you could count it and almost get the numbers perfectly. You just have to know the exceptions. So next slide should be the number 6. So the number 6 looks like this. That's the number 6. And its name is the number form, so it's spelled like this. And it's so-u. So-u. So if you want to say, for example, 6 jars of water, because that's what Christ changed into wine in the wedding of Cana, you would say so'u ⲛⲓⲏ emu. So'u ⲛⲓⲏ emu. 6 jars of water. Now these are all the numbers in the order. So we have a nice neatly here. We have the ones place here, the hundreds place here. I have it where you have the numeral. So this is how you write it as a number. And you have the word form next to it. I only put the masculine form because only some have feminine forms, and it would be too cluttered if I put both. And the English corresponding numeral so you could understand what it's saying. So here we have 1, which is OY, 2, SNOV, 3, SHUMT, 4, F2 or F2, 5, ETU or TU, 6, SOU, 7, SHASHP, 8, SHMIN, 9, PSIT. Then 10 is MEET. Now, how would you write 11? Well, you would write it by doing like this. Let me make that neater. You put the 2 letters down and you put a bar on top to cover both. So that would be 11 written out. But how would you pronounce it? You would just put the 2 words together. So you'd say MEET-OY. So MEET-OY, MEET SNOV, MEET SHUMT, MEET F2, MEET TU, or MEET ETU. Meet SOU, meet SHASH, meet SHMIN, meet PSIT, meet PSIT, or meet PSIT. See, I put I told you guys not to put the jinkim on the sound, and I did there. So meet PSIT, meet PSIT. That's 19. 20 is got, and then you do 21 and 29 the same way as before. 30 is mop, 40 is ehme, 50 is tevi, 60 is se, 70 is shve, 80 is chemne, and at 90, recall this letter is out of place alphabetically. It's piste-owi, piste-owi. Ro is she, 100 is she, and then 200 on, instead of making new words. So notice we had a new word for 1 to 9. We had a new word 10, 20, 30, 40 to 90, and we had a new word 400. But instead of making new words, what we just say, just like in English, we say 200, same in Coptic. You say 200. So how would you say 300? You would say Shumt, she, 300. How would you say 400? You would say F2, she, 500. Etyu, she, 600. So'u, she, 700. Shashf, she, 800. Shmin, she, and 900. Psit, she. And this is the modification on row with just a line through it. That is 900. And then 1,000, how do you do it? Well, just like in English, how you have 1,000 in the front, like the 1 for the 1,000 in the front, same here. So this would be 1,011. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, the word for 1,000 in Coptic is sho. So if you want to say 1,011, you'd say sho mitowai. Here's some examples of numbers. So we have a T with a line through it. The T is 300, and we remember 3 is shumt and 100 is she. So shumt she. And then we have yota. Yota is 10, so meet. So shumt she meet. And then we have ita. Ita is 8, so 318. Shumt she meet shmin, which is 318. Another example would be, we have a row. A row is 100, so she. And then we have the n is 50, tevi, she tevi. These two are numbers that we say in liturgy. These are numbers for bishops and 2 of the ecumenical councils. This one is Nicaea, and this one is Constantinople. And the last number, we have the O. O is shve, which is 70, and we have Vita. We know Vita is the second letter, so it's number 2. So shve snav, or 72, which is the number of apostles. And I believe that is it. Yes, that is all. We have covered everything.